Megapark, home of the steepest drop-ins, the biggest jumps, and the craziest gaps. The only thing that's really missing is a giant floating rail. And today I'll be talking about the world record history of Megapark. I will not be going over the highest line someone has hit at Megapark, or the Danny Ways Pro Challenge at Megapark, or the vert contest that's held at the Megapark. This is online spot battle, not teams, but individual scores set by individual people. 1 minute, 5 seconds on the clock, ready, go. Before I start talking about the actual history, I need everyone to be mentally on the same page here. The Skate franchise was shipped as the realistic competitor to Tony Hawk's Pro Skater series. Each game that came out became more realistic than the last. However, the spectrum tends to go both ways, meaning that it also got more arcadey as the series progressed. So I want you guys to think about anything you know about skateboarding, all the skate parts that you've seen, all the contests that you have seen, and any IRL skating experience that you might have.
Oh, fuck! Holy shit!
Take all of that and throw it out the window, because this is Skate 3 competitive. Hold on a second. Before I continue, let me explain. This right here is not skating. This is trick spamming, is what most people might call it. But for people like me, we call this competitive, or comp for short. Not to be confused with trick lining. Trick lining is all about style and not points. Whether you think trick lining is cool or not, that's up to you. What I'm talking about is how high you can get that score to go up when playing a Skate 3 spot battle. In this video, you will see lots of dart catches and lots of tail walk holding. Just because we spam these tricks a bunch doesn't make it not legit. There's a good portion of people who believe that this is stupid and dumb because it's not realistic. As someone who likes to chase scores myself, I will be the first person to tell you that this looks stupid. It looks dumb. It will be really hard to create an esport out of this due to the fact that the spectator's point of view looks very boring and bland. So why would people do this? Well, the simple answer is, it's just human competitive nature. Think about it as like speedrunning. Speedrunning in the last couple of years have just exploded. Think about any game in existence and there's most likely a speedrun made out of it. Instead of going for the fastest time, we are going for the highest score. And the higher the score goes up, the more our monkey brain ends up getting stimulated with dopamine. TLDR, skate is not as realistic as you thought it was. More points equal more happy, and we don't care if you think this ruins the game. Now that we're all on the same page, allow me to dive into the history. The history ends up starting at the very beginning, in Skate 2. Every skate game has an own the spot feature, trying to get the highest points possible at a particular spot. When Skate 2 came out, it introduced session spots. Instead of trying to hold one combo the whole time, you now have a jam session style format, where you can do as many tricks as you possibly want in the time allotted. In most session spots in Skate 2, there's usually a half pipe or bowl that you could skate in. And with those features in place, you can get more airtime, which means more points. There, it was also noticed that if you were to be in a fakie nose manual, the height you get going out of a ramp ends up increasing. And with the new grab tricks added to the game, holding a tail walk or an airwalk would grant you the most points. Then you have other maps, like Getting Technical, where it's just flat ground and ledges. This is where the human competitive nature starts kicking in. Early on, we found out that grinding was not as effective as doing 180 switches, which is just flipping a trick and doing a 180. It was also discovered that landing in manual caused no landing lag. So, you would preferably want to land in a manual in order to keep doing more tricks. 16 months later, we then get Skate 3, and that same competitive style ends up bleeding on to the next game. And that is the earliest form of competitive when it comes to Skate 3. But why am I telling you this? This is Megapark. You have the huge jumps, the huge ramps, big air. What's wrong? Why am I talking about flat ground? Before I continue, I want to preface that this is very early 2010, meaning that not everybody was recording their TV screen and not everybody had a capture card. The best capture card you can get in those days looked like this. And that's really confusing and intimidating. There's like 87 chords. And because of this, I want to introduce to you guys my friend who has helped in keeping track of all these things since my Spieglitch video. Dude, trust me. He is my scapegoat on anything I do not have physical footage of. So believe me when I say dude trust me, because dude trust me usually comes from people who've played the game way back when. Believe it or not, the Megapark route wasn't optimized day one. Coming off the heels of Skate 2, there was a stigma about repeating grabs. Repeating grabs seemed to be like a sin, and if you repeated a grab, you were a trick spammer. Oh, how far we have fallen. But that was just a small group of people. Others didn't really care so much. But because these were people transitioning from Skate 2 into Skate 3, most of these early scores were hit on normal. That was the other stigma that came with Skate 2. Skate 1 and 2 were just defaulted to Skate 3's difficulty of normal. So why would you want to play this baby game mode of easy? It's like 100%ing a game, but you did it on the most easiest difficulty. Not the biggest reward. Those players that came from Skate 2 would end up doing vert-only runs. If there's a jump or a ramp, it doesn't matter. We've just categorized it as vert. This is a vert wall, and this is a vert ramp. To us, we don't care. It's the speedrunning mentality. You know how speedrunners just have goofy-ass names for skips.
Crazy Gadget Skip.
Back then, it was the Wild West. There was no route to play Megapark, but a common route was to go off the side into this ramp, but you would take that speed and go into the bigger drop-in. From there, players would ramp off this vert wall, landing into the mega ramp and ramping out of it, and then finish it off by going back and forth across the half pipe. And this run granted you 50k at Megapark a few months into the game. So yes, in 2010, people were hitting 50k. Source? Thank you, buddy. According to my Dude Trust Me source, the first person noted to actually hit 50k on Megapark was from a player called Headstrong 900. Now, remember that flat ground I was talking about? Headstrong was one of the people that actually went flat first and then went vert. All thanks to a new method where you would dart catch a nollie 3 hard flip and do a 360 frontside spin, or what the community has dubbed it, a one trick. Remember guys, speedrunning terminology. This method was way more effective to get more points rather than the 180 switches that was being done back in Skate 2 in the early days of Skate 3. One tricking was the new meta in late 2010. If you so happen to want to see a full history of comp, Calplex made a video covering that exact topic. While I don't believe Headstrong was holding any records personally, that method of one tricking was then later used for the early days of 2011. Ending off 2010, the record was around 55k. With one tricking as the new meta, it was repurposed in the vert run. No longer were people going backlot and doing one tricks. Instead, people would race down to the bottom of the bowl, getting as much points as they can, and then go to the end of the bowl, where you would have a huge flat zone between each quarter pipe. And in between those walls is where you would do a one trick. People will do their fakie manuals up the vert wall, and then doing a one trick into another fakie nose manual up the other wall. With this new method, it gave people higher scores, where eventually 60k was hit at Megapark. And now, this is where the history gets even more fuzzy. In the early 2010s, Call of Duty was on the forefront of gaming. You couldn't escape it. It was everywhere. And because of the Call of Duty culture, everybody had to be in a team. Whether it was for esports or for trickshotting, most of people's goal was to get into a team. And this team culture also bled into Skate 3. You had your OG skate teams such as Team G-Flip, who were around since Skate 1, known for their really incredible hippie flips. But you also had teams like Rise Skating, who you may have heard of. They were more known for their trick-lighting montages rather than hitting comp scores. We also then have another team who was not as publicly known, Underclass. Underclass, also hitting insane hippie flips, happened to also focus on competitive. All this information is kind of important to know. It's to prepare you about the seizure warnings that you might be seeing. And two, both teams I have mentioned are gone. Rise Skating was sold. Underclass was deleted. So any videos I'm going to show you are just re-uploads. So if you happen to find one of these videos out in the wild, that is not the correct date. While I keep trying to compare Skate 3 competitive to actual speedrunning, we never had a solid way to keep track scores. It wasn't only until recently where a server on Discord was created to keep track of these scores once and for all. It really took us 13 years to develop this? Crazy. Underclass was known for hitting these high scores first, but because it was deleted, there is an archive channel that was made, but not every video was archived, so there are missing videos out there. Back to the history. From where we left off, it is now 2011. Now, not much action happened in 2011 or 2012. There were a good 2 years where no notable person wanted to grind Megapark. No one was really going for scores. No one wanted to hit the highest score at Megapark. Everyone else wanted to hit the other spots. With a 2-year time gap, we don't see anything until May of 2013, where a player named Giovanni hit 70k. Huh? Not only is it a 70, it's a 71. So, is this the first 70? No, it's not. If you were to look into the comment section, you would see that a player called Sneaky Leroy had a higher score. And that score is referring to this montage. Since this montage was originally uploaded on Underclass, it is now archived so that this date is not when the actual clip was hit. Also, if you were to notice, in this clip, people were no longer playing on normal. So, given these context clues, that means somewhere in 2011 and 2012, 65k was hit. Was it on normal? Maybe. Was it on easy? I don't think so. The Skate 2 stigma has finally ended. Players finally accepted easy mode, and with easy mode became higher drops, meaning more points, meaning higher scores. What? Now onto the first 70k. No one knows who hit the first 70k. Sneaky doesn't believe he hit the first 70k. Other people have asked doesn't believe that Sneaky hit the first 70k. So we're just gonna have to accept that the first documented 70 happened anywhere between January 2013 and May 2013. Alright, so now let me do a little bit more backtracking. During the era of 2011 and 2012, a new comp method was developed. Instead of one tricking, you now have 3 tricking. Wow, Skate 3 terminology is just the best. This new meta involved doing a nollie 3 hard dart catch, a nollie inward dart catch, and a nollie tray dart catch, all linked into one combo. If you remember, the 180 switches had something similar. You would alternate tricks while landing in a manual, and that's exactly what 3 tricking is. Landing in a manual because there is no landing lag, which makes you trick faster. Now that the community has switched to easy, there is now a new Megapark route, a new comp method, and higher scores. Let's first talk about the new Megapark route. This route is called diving board, a method still used to this day. The reason why we call it diving board is because the ledge that we jump off of sticks out over the cliff like a diving board in a swimming pool. Off the start, you'd go off the side onto this bank, giving you speed to go off the diving board to land in this transition. And from that transition, you go up the vert wall into the mega ramp, and it's practically the same thing as normal. But you go to the end of the bowl, do the one trick in the middle, you know the whole spiel. The only reason why I brought up 3 tricking in the first place is because not everyone was the best at vert. During this time period, you could either do the complete vert run with the one trick in the middle, or just go all flat, which is what Giovanni did. Now this is the history of Megapark, and unfortunately, Giovanni never hit a record. I now want to properly introduce our first main dominant character of this story, Sneaky Leroy, or Sneaky. Sneaky led the show all through 2013, starting with that 71 in early 2013. And Sneaky was more of a vert player, meaning he preferred the one-trick vert method. Sneaky would grind Megapark with a person named iFumbug, where he would document a video a day of Megapark with Sneaky hitting 71s, 72s. However, that channel is gone, but fortunately enough, we do have screenshots. On July 30th, 2013, Sneaky hit a 72. A few days later, on August 2nd, Sneaky then hit a 73. Then, on September 28th, Sneaky then hit a 74. That's still Sneaky, he liked to change his name a lot. Then finally, on October 16th, 2013, the Underclash Team Taj 3 was finally dropped, where you got to see Sneaky hit the first 75. And after this, Sneaky took a little break. And during that break, no one was even going for this score. 75 was too high for anyone to process. It wasn't until February of 2014 when Sneaky decided to go back for more. On February 21st, Sneaky hit a 76. Now, there is no recorded footage of this, but we do have a screenshot. However, the next score that Sneaky hit would be the last score that he has hit for Megapark. And just a couple days later, on February 23rd, Sneaky would hit a 77.9. This whole time I've been mentioning scores and who has hit them, but I failed to mention one thing: optimization. We have a Megapark run, but to have a good run, you need to have optimizations, meaning what kind of drops you're getting and how many points you're actually earning. There are 3 main factors in a Megapark run: location, points, and time remaining. We can divide the run up into 2 sections: the vert run leading into the bowl, and then the rest of the run that is in the bowl. Let's talk about the first part of the run, which leads into the bowl. There are 4 main jumps that you want to keep track of: diving board, vert wall into mega, mega ramp, and then the first vert wall you hit in the bowl. starting off with the first drop down to go into the diving board. If you were to just run off the edge, you get around 1.5 or 1.7. Now for the diving board itself. If you get anywhere from 6k and under, that is a bad drop. If you get a 7k drop, that is a okay drop. If you were to get 8k or higher, that is a good drop. Now for the vert wall into Mega, 9k and below is a bad drop. 10, 11k is an okay drop. 12 to 13k is a good drop. And 14 and above is rare, but it is possible. Now for the Mega Ramp itself, 7k and below is a bad drop. 8 to 9k is a okay drop. 10k is a good drop. 11k is rare, but it can happen. Now with all the speed, you want to hit the first wall in the bowl, and a bad drop would be 4k and below. An okay drop would be 5 to 6k, and a good drop would be 7k. So if you were to take the sum of best that is not rare, we'd have an 8k drop on diving board, a 12k drop into Mega, a 10k drop out of Mega, and a 7k on the first vert wall. Adding in that 1.5 from the start, our total would be 38.5k. Using this as our standard benchmark, we can now analyze Sneaky's first 71 and compare it to his 77. Off the start, he got the standard 1.5k into the diving board, and out of diving board, he got a 8.1. Now, going into the vert ramp, he has a 12.7, and coming out of the Mega Ramp, he ends up getting an 8.6. The first vert wall in the bowl, he lands a 5.1, with a grand total of 36.2. Now let's compare it to the 77. When Sneaky finished his first part of the vert run, he ends up with a 40.3. How did he make up that score if the standard deviation is 38.5? And the answer to that is optimizations. At the start, you notice he would do something different. He'd get into fakie to do a one trick off the first ledge, giving you 3k instead of the 1.5. Now off the diving board, he gets a 9.2. To get that extra k, he did a one trick before going off diving board. Going into Mega, he gets your standard 11.5. Coming out of Mega, he gets a 10k? Alright, let's play around with the levels. Let's see if we could see anything. Ah, yes, I see. Yeah, I got nothing. Let's just start doing some math real quick. Okay, so going into the vert wall, he has 34,159, and the score before that is 24,086. Putting that into a calculator, we get 10,073. The Mega Ramp is divided into 3 sections, left, middle, and right, with the left and right being identical. In his 71k, he stuck to the right, but in his 77k, he drifted from left to right, earning more points. And for the first vert wall in the bowl, he gets a 6.1, which earned him the 40.3. Now let's talk about the second portion of the run, the bowl. While maximizing the points you get from each drop on the way to the bowl, it does take some skill, but not a whole lot. The second part is really where all the skill comes in. In both the 71 and the 77, you see Sneaky doing the one-trick vert method. The only difference is that in the 71, when he had 6 seconds remaining, he decided to go flat, knowing that he would have run out of time by the time he landed the next vert wall. In the 77, by 25 seconds, he decided to go flat, meaning he gained more confidence in his flat comp ability rather than the vert. And this bowl method was the last time it was ever used to hit a record at Megapark. Sneaky hit the 77 in February, and in that time, March came, and it went. April came, and it went. So did May, June, July, and now it's August. The vert one-trick method is now extinct. No one is using that route to hit records anymore. The way Giovanni played bowl way back in 2013 is now the standard. 3-tricking has become more accessible, and people are getting way too damn good at it, which now brings on a new player I'd like to introduce, Alexis 30, or Alex. Alex set out to hit record, but not just record, but 80k. He believed that it was possible, and on August 14th, 2014, this happened. A 76. So what? Sneaky already had a 77. Well, there's one thing I forgot to mention in Spot Battle. When the time runs out, you actually get a 2 extra seconds. It doesn't show up, but you get them. However, there are 3 rounds in a Spot Battle, and if you're the last person on the 3rd round, you get is what we call Challenge. And on Challenge, time ends at 0 and you do not get those extra 2 seconds. And if he wasn't challenged, he would have gotten the first 80k. If not, an 81,165. His math, not mine. But that didn't deter him. He kept grinding, until eventually, Alex became the first person to set a Megapark world record, using only 3 tricks in the bowl section of the run. And on November 11th, 2014, he did exactly that, with a 78.481. Now, the 80k hype is real. Once Sneaky hit that 77, the thought of 80k could be possible, and now we have a glimmer of hope. You know, all this time, I've only been showing segments of the run, not the full run, only because of the crazy editing and copyrighted music that's in the back of all these videos. But for this one, I think I should play it out the whole way through.
Doubting your success even before you spread your wings. I'm giving it my all just to find out what it brings. Hungry like a peasant, but I'm ruling like a king. Greater the struggle, only the brighter the triumph. Used to doubt where I could go, always been battling giants. All I ever knew was defiance, but I've learned and I've grown. Now the room full of giants is what I'm calling my home. Cause I said I never make it, now I'm fiending to take it. So you could love it or hate it, but we both know that you play it. Driving down the road, not a bit of hesitation. It's not about how you do it, but the final destination. I'm just riding through the city, it's just me and my whip. I already tossed out all my feelings, but I'm feeling the wind. Cause I'm never coming back, yeah, I'm never coming back. Never knowing where I'm at, and I hope you're fine with that. Things always happen, I know. Things always happen, I know. People always leaving, I know. People always leaving, I know. Thoughts in my mind, too many thoughts in my mind, but I know I'll be fine. So for now, I ain't coming back.
January 26, 2015 is when the first 80k was hit at Megapark. The community finally did it. Nearly 5 years into Skate 3's existence, 80k was hit at Megapark. But it was very bittersweet. Yes, the 80k got hit, but mid-run, Alex messed up and lost a lot of points. I talked about the 3 things that you need in a Megapark run: location, points, and time remaining. I only went over 2, which was location and points. Now we gotta get to time remaining. And for the second portion of the Megapark run, which is in the bowl, time remaining is important. The problem with doing vert is that every time you went up a vert wall, you didn't have the same amount of points coming down, due to the factors of you landing sketchy, or you just didn't get the same air as the last time. But when it comes to 3 tricking, there's a fixed amount of points you can get. If you do a 3 trick correctly, you should get 3-3-7-1. If you so happen to land 1 clean in your 3 trick, you would get a 3-4-7-8. And how fast people were 3 tricking back then, you would earn an average around 1k per second. And in Alex's run, after he was done with the first part of his vert run, he had 40k by 40 seconds. And doing the math, you should get 80k. But since it's spot battle, you get those 2 extra seconds. And that 2 extra seconds could have led to an 82 if he hadn't messed up. But hey, it was 80k. And that's worth celebrating. And by celebrating, that means not playing Megapark. And that's exactly what happened. Not as many people were as well-rounded as Alex, who was good at vert and good at flat. They were either really good at vert and sucked at flat, or sucked at vert and was really good at flat. And by this point, Sneaky already quit Skate 3. He wasn't coming back for his record. The 80k that was hit is like a stain on Megapark history, knowing that it could have been an 82. So what happened? Alex went to go chase other scores on Skate 3. It wasn't for a while until he went back to Megapark and tried to claim the score that he lost a couple months before. On March 27th, he went to set out to beat the record again. And on Underclass's 5th and final team Taj is where you got to see Alex beat the world record at Megapark once again. Alex did it. Alex broke the record again, but an 81.9? Are you kidding me? So close to an 82. That is twice now where an 82 slipped away through his fingers. In both the 80 and the 81, I forgot to mention one thing that Alex started doing. Instead of going up this vert wall to get into the Mega, he went off this bank to go into the Mega, which is a lot faster than the previous method, saving more time, equaling more points. And it's a completely viable method considering the fact in the 81 he got a 13k drop. Displeased with his result, Alex had enough. He had to get this 82. And to get this 82, he had to drop the 3-trick method and inherit a new method that has been out for a while, which he refused to learn for some reason, called 5-popping, where you do 5 tricks but pop 4 of them. Yeah, our terminology is the best. With 3 tricking, you would do a nollie 3 hard, a nollie 3 inward, and a nollie tray flip, all in dart catches. And with 5 popping, you would add a nollie laser and a regular hard flip. But instead of doing front side spins, you will alternate between front side and back side, making you pop, which makes it faster. And then on June 12th, 2015, Alex got his 82. Alex can finally take a breather. The 82 that eluded him way back in the beginning of 2015 is now hit. And that was it. That's all he could do. That's all he wanted to do. Because in the beginning of 2016, Alex quit Skate 3. And so his record stood. And it stood. 2015 came to an end, and 2016 started. Spring came, and then it ended. Summer came, and then it ended. Fall came, and then it ended. Winter came, and then it ended. 2017, no action. Now it's March of 2017, and another player has emerged to the challenge. Introducing our third character to this story, Ions. So on March 26, 2017, Ions beat Alex's record. But how did he do that? He had 36.8 after the first half of the vert run. It's been nearly 2 years since Alex set that 82, and in those 2 years, a new meta of comp has emerged, called the Infinite Pop. Now we're sounding like speedrunners. In video games, infinites happen everywhere. Fighting games, action games, wherever. And for those cases, they're usually a glitch. But for Skate 3's case, it's not. Both 3 tricking and 5 popping, you ended the combo in a stale. Since you land in a stale, you're not landing in a manual, meaning that there is landing lag. With infinite popping, it erases all cases of landing lag. We first started off with 1 tricking, and then 3 tricking, and then 5 popping. Now let's just degrade back to 2 tricks, because that's all you need to do the infinite pop. By holding your right stick in a certain position when landing a backside spin into a nollie inward dart catch, you could drop the points and pop at the same time, because doing the same trick in one combo leads to less points. And with this new method, Ions accidentally beat the record. You see, at this point, it's been nearly 7 years of Skate 3, and comp players are not always playing Megapark. There are other maps to play. That's how we keep it fresh. Ions' specialty was flat ground, so anywhere there was flat, he was doing infinite pops and hidden records. So when it came to Megapark, where you need to have good consistent drops with those good vert runs, he was not getting them. And with that 82 that he hit, he made up with infinite pops. But hitting record, and knowing that he can improve, judging by the title because he said he had an 85 fail, he set out to go for the 85. Throughout the rest of 2017, he hit scores. Most of them were not at Megapark, but the ones that he did hit at Megapark, he saved because they were record. And at the end of 2017, Ions got bored of Skate 3 and announced his departure to the game. That's where he uploaded his goodbye montage, where not only there was 1 record, there was 3 of them. The first Megapark run showcased an 84, a big improvement from the 82. The next world record was an 84.9, very close to that 85 he was looking out to get. And then on the third one, that's where the world saw the first 85 at Megapark on December 31st, 2017. Let's analyze these runs. In his first 84, at the end of his vert run, he got a 41, which looks great on paper, but instead he decided to go for the back vert wall and got a 41 by 37, which is not as efficient as Alex and Sneaky, who had 40 by 40. But that didn't matter because he made it up through infinite pops. For his second 84, he had 75? Hold on, what happened? There's one thing I forgot to mention this whole entire time about the bowl, and it's the bowl itself. At each ends of the bowl, there is a turn, and to continue the flow of tricks, you have to trick along with the curve. When it came to 3 tricking, it didn't matter. The flow of tricks kept on coming because all you had to do was just underspin your trick. But when it comes to popping, you were spinning both frontside and backside. You can underspin a frontside spin, but it's harder to overspin a backside spin, which means after 7 years later, Headstrong's 900s run, where he went backlot first, then vert, is now modern day viable. Infinite popping is about tricking fast and going fast. Having these turns in your way ends up stopping the flow of infinite pops. So when you have an open backlot at your exposal, it gives more leeway to turn around and go back to vert. While you could do flat the entire time, vert is the only way to get the maximum amount of points, and you can only do vert once. You can go backlot as long as you want, but you're not going to get the same score as if you were to go vert. Now the order is switched around. Originally it was vert, then flat. Now it's flat, then vert. And that's exactly what Ions did. He went backlot and went vert, and ended with an 84.9. And for his last record, he did the exact same thing, went backlot and then vert. But this time he opted to hit the first vert wall, which is more optimal, and then granting him an 85. So far we've had 3 people, Sneaky, Alex, and Ions. All 3 of them dominated Megapark and quit. There seems to be a curse with this map that after you're done dominating Megapark, you want to quit the game. After Ions hit the 85, it became 2018, and during that whole year, no one beat the world record. Not publicly, that is to say. People were playing Megapark, and they were hitting 80s. The only issue was they were playing all flat. Remember how I said Infinite Pop's all about going fast and popping fast? Well, here is your example. Here are some people who became part of the 80 Club before 2019. Ramen, Limiteds, Samuel, Smokey, and Jove Gamer 08. I'm pretty sure I said that correctly. This was just a small list of people that were part of the club. And in early 2017, a player named Toasticle hit 80k flat. But that's not part of the story. What is part of the story is scrolling down in the comment section to see that Ions had left a message of his dream Megapark run. Okay guys, before I get into this, I want to preface that Ions was like 14 at this time. So, yeah. Listen guys, here's the thing you guys might not know. It wouldn't be that good of a score if you do diving board first, then flat because of turning. So if you go flat, then at 25 seconds go vert, and get 8k drop, 10k drop, 9k drop, then like a 6k drop, it would be world record, and it would be like 90k. While some people doubted Ions' dream run, the 90k bug was real, and not many people had that bug, but one such person did. Which leads me to introduce our 4th character to the story, Y3 Luke, or Luke. That new infinite popping meta? Yeah, he was the one that discovered it. In the beginning, we had Sneaky Leroy, who was good at vert, but not the best at flat. Then we had Alex, who was both good at vert and flat. Then came along Ions, who was not the best at vert, but was good at flat. Now, we finally have someone who was good at vert and flat with a modern day comp style. I want to go all the way back at the first 80k you hit, if you remember it.
God, I do not remember my first 80. I actually have no idea. I don't know if it was 2015. I don't know if it was like 2017, because I did have a 70k or 80k fail. Like it would have been 80 back in 2015, but I was challenged, you know, so the last 2 seconds didn't count.
Did you think 90k was possible after Ions hit an 85?
Well, there was always like, you know, doubt in my mind about 90k being a thing, but I didn't really think 90k was like gonna be hit until I hit like the 88k, and I was like, okay, 90k is definitely gonna be hit.
In April of 2018, Luke secretly went out to set the world record at Megapark. It was then, at midnight of 421, possibly high out of his mind, is where he got the 86. And that was it. Luke finally got record, the biggest map in the game, all to himself. But he didn't let the public know. But what the public saw was that Samuel ended up hitting an 85, thinking it was record. For one, it wasn't record, and 2, he did it on party play. And party play is kind of looked down upon because those extra 2 go seconds you get is more lenient than online. It wasn't until August where Luke thought he could up the record again. On August 16th, 2018, Luke set the record again with an 88. With Luke now having the record, I now want to analyze these runs, starting with the 86, because Luke made a goof. Infinite pops give you a lot of speed. When turning around to go back to vert, you end up carrying all that speed, which then can lead into the diving board. On Luke's 86 run, he kind of messed up his trajectory, messing up the lineup to the diving board, which made him fall down to the half pipe below, losing I don't know how many points, but it's a lot. On his 88 run, he didn't goof it up as much, but he ended up wasting some speed trying to line up for the diving board, giving him a 6k drop, when it could have been an 8k, meaning that this 88 run could have been the first ever 90. What I remember was that you were grinding Megapark, Were you
Yeah.
looking to grind for record, or did you just...
I was just grinding for record. I was not going for the 90 until Voodoo hit like the 89, like the high 89. Then that's when I was like, okay, time to start grinding for the 90.
I now want to introduce the 5th person to the story, Voodoo. Not many people are cracked at Skate 3, but Voodoo happened to be one of those people. Back then, people wanted to keep scores for themselves, either for a big project or they just wanted it to be edited. And I knew a few people who were just sitting on a lot of unreleased world records, so I asked permission if I could gather their clips and put it into one big montage. And on March 29th, 2019 is where I uploaded the big world record montage, which is now highly outdated. Don't look at any of these scores thinking it's actually record, because it's not. In that world record montage is where you got to see Luke hit the 86 and the 88. So now it is out to the public that 88 is the world record, and Voodoo, being the cracked person that he is, went out to set the world record at Megapark. In October 25th, 2019, Voodoo set the world record with an 89.7. The bull strikes again. It happened to Alex way back in 2015, and now it happened to Voodoo nearly 5 years later. He ended up going too fast for his own good and ran into the wall of the bull. This ruined his golden opportunity to hit the first ever 90, for it made him do a 180 instead of a 360, not giving him full points. But as bitter as that is, it's still record. For the first time in Megapark history, we now have 2 contenders who could take the record at any point and claim the 90K for themselves. The only issue was that Voodoo hit this in October and was sitting on this clip and didn't upload it to the public until April. But being the good sportsman person that he is, he never upped the record before making it public.
I always knew that it was possible, but I never really cared to grind for it until, you know, my record at Megapark got beat. Then I was like, okay, you know, I need to play some Megapark now. And he was so close to 90 because he failed it. And I was like, he was like 300 points off. And I was like, you know, if I'm going to beat this record, I'm going to get the 90, you know, or just barely beat it, which would suck.
You grinded 90 for a long while. What was going through your head that entire time?
I was going for it, but I wasn't really fully motivated to get it until Skate 4 got announced. When Skate 4 got announced, that's when it boosted my motivation to grind a lot more Skate 3 and push my scores further and further. So that was how the Skate 4 announcement is definitely what helped me a lot to get the 90K at Megapark.
As much as I would like to show you guys this full entire clip, I don't think you want to see a full minute of aggressive screen shaking. So instead, I'll just show you the last 5 seconds. On September 13th, 2020, nearly a year later after Voodoo hit an 89.7, Luke secured the first ever 90K. So you hit the 90, then Voodoo beat your 90 by very little.
Oh yeah, he beat it by 3 points.
After securing the first ever 90, Voodoo wanted a 90 of his own, not wanting to feel left out, and correcting what could have been long ago. It wasn't until January 1st of 2021, Voodoo finally got his redemption of hitting his first ever 90, and beating the record by 3 points.
He just ended up beating it, you know, by playing a lot, and then he beat it by 3 points, and that was a very funny moment, honestly. I thought it was really, it sucked, you know, losing to the record, but it was pretty funny, you know, losing it by 3 points.
So you wanted to get the record back?
Yeah, I wanted to get the record back, so I decided to start playing. Now, I didn't, just play Megapark and only Megapark, because like I said, it's it's tough just playing one map for weeks and weeks and weeks.
On February 5th, 2021, Luke managed to etch out another world record by over 100 points. Now that you got the record again, why did you want to go for higher?
Because I always knew, because my 91K was such a horrible run, and I always knew that you could get a lot higher, you know, if you optimize the run. The flat was pretty bad and the vert was pretty bad, so it's doing the math, I know that you can get a lot higher, you know, so I knew the potential of the map, and I was okay, 91K, yeah, it's record, it's a good score, but it's it's not really optimized at all, you know.
In a quest to go for a higher Megapark record, on July 24th, Luke had a run that was looking promising, and then this happened. A 91.6. The culprit? a bad diving board drop, losing him 2k, which could have been a 93. Eager to chase that potential score again, Luke kept on grinding Megapark, and on September 10th, 2021, Luke surpassed his own potential with a 94.7. Now, it was at this point where Voodoo's 91 would be the last record Voodoo ever hit for Megapark. So now, it's the Luke show. Satisfied with a 94, Luke didn't play Megapark for a while, and no one on Skate 3 was crazy enough to sit on Megapark to hit this record. So his record stood. And it stood for a whole year. Because the 94 had a weird ending, did you want to up it again?
I definitely knew that getting higher was for sure possible. Obviously, it's very hard, but I always knew that you can up the score by a decent bit. It's just so hard to have like a perfect flat and a perfect vert in one good run. It's so hard to do that. So I definitely knew that you could get higher.
Unsatisfied with the 94, Luke wanted to chase that Megapark potential and see how high he could go. And on October 20th, 2022, Luke did exactly that, with a 95.3. Luke did it again. He beat the record, and with a 95. And this run looked pretty solid, with a 9.1 off a diving board, and a 12.9 into Mega, getting an 8.6 out of Mega, but making it up with a 7k drop. That looks like it. This looks like a perfect run. Sure, you could probably squeeze a couple hundred points out of it, but you have to be really crazy to go for this record. 95,346. That is Megapark's potential, and that is where the record stands today. What is that noise? Why do I hear boss music? What's happening? Right as when we thought Megapark was solved, a new meta for Megapark came out. Remember when I said vert is the way to maximize your points? Well, what happens if we just got rid of flat completely and went all vert? I now want to introduce our 6th character to the story, Wisp. While Wisp being good at the game, almost having a 90 of his own, he is more known for actually modding the game. But in this case, mods are not being used for Megapark. Instead, they're glitches. In the first 60 seconds of this video, I mentioned how arcadey Skate 3 is compared to its predecessors. What mainly adds to the arcadey feel is all the unpatched glitches that is left in the game. And if you've consumed any Skate 3 content in the past 10 years, you know that speed glitches are everywhere. Speed glitches are so synonymous to Skate 3 that Studio Full Circle, formerly known as Black Box, who made Skate 3 and are currently in development of making the next Skate game, likes to announce a video contest in order to win a new Skate deck. And in their rule sets, they specifically call out speed glitches, meaning that the devs of Skate 3 themselves know they exist, and you can't get rid of them. While speed glitches have been in the game this entire time, no one has found any map to utilize a speed glitch and make it effective. Taking the backwards ban for example, probably the most famous glitch, because it makes you go the fastest. That glitch is too powerful for Megapark, and you can't possibly land anywhere safely. That's where Wisp utilized an alternative backwards ban, a speed glitch that gives you speed, but not too much. The Tarnation backwards ban. Now this is speedrunning. We finally did it. This is an any percent run. Just like any percent speedruns, glitches are allowed. And to get the highest points at Megapark, we will use glitches to our advantage. And that's exactly what happened. Wisp brought that new run to your attention. How did that go? How did that workshop out?
So at first, when I first found out about the backwards ban, we already came up with some runs at a few other maps, but at Megapark, we didn't really have a run idea yet. We were brainstorming some stuff. Then Wisp gave me the idea at the bottom doing a backwards man, and you can get a 14k or even a 15 or 16k drop. And whenever he told me that, I was like, wait a minute. So then I did the math, and every time with the older run, every time you would do the math, you'd always add up to 99k. With a perfect run, you're only going to get 99,000 points. So that's why I was always like, fuck, 100k is never going to happen. And then when Wisp brought this new backwards man to my attention, I was like, what the fuck? I was like, wait a minute. According to the math, it all adds up, you can easily get 100k with this well, I wouldn't say easily, but you can get 100k if you get these 3 backwards men successfully and get some decent drops with them. So that's what really boosted my motivation. It was like, okay, 100k is definitely gonna happen now.
With a new meta at play, Luke got to work. And before I continue, there's one thing I forgot to mention. I swear this is the last thing. that I'll ever mention again. Back in 2018, when Luke was grinding for those high 80s, he started using a very sweat method: dual consoles. In Skate 3, in order to start an online game, you need at least 2 people. Now, Luke has friends, but not everyone wanted to sit at Megapark watching him grind for record. With having 2 consoles and Skate 3 both inside of each of them, he can then play with himself. That came out wrong. He can then start online lobbies by himself. The other side is, if one person lags in the lobby, the whole lobby lags. And with this method, it ensures that he has a fresh lobby the whole entire time with no lag. And for those reasons, is why you see Rose hitting this run at Megapark. So on January 28th, 2023, Rose beat the record by 200 points. Luke, being the night owl that he is, hit the score at 1 AM, and after he hit that score, he went to bed. But waking up within the same day, he got right back to work. And for the first time ever in Megapark history, the next record was actually live streamed. So, within less than 24 hours, Luke beat the record again and got a 98.5.
Yo. No.
I fucking called it. You hit the 98.5 and you were very shy of 100K. What were you feeling?
So when I hit the 98K, I knew, because in that run was pretty bad. I lost a lot of points, so a few drops, and I only had 85,000 points before the last drop, when even with 85,000 points, you can still get 100K if you get a 15K drop. But I had a pretty bad 13K drop or something as my final drop, and I got 98K, and I was like, fuck, I was pretty disappointed, but it helped me boost my motivation and make me think, okay, this can actually happen. 100K can legit happen.
This is looking like it. This could be the 100K run. A meme said many times before, but now it's becoming a reality. And on February 5th, 2023, Luke got a 98.7. Come on, man, it's right there. Not caring that he hit record again, he wants to hit the 100K. When Skate 3 came out in May of 2010, 50Ks were being hit. In 2011, 60K was hit. In 2013, 70K was hit. 2015, 80K was hit. In 2020, 90K was hit. Now, late to the night of February 6, 2023, 12:31 AM Eastern Standard Time, Luke hit the first ever 100K. Okay, now the big question. How are you feeling after you hit 100K?
I felt, honestly, I felt amazing, because it's a score that we've all, I've always dreamed about my entire life, is 100K Megapark, because a lot of people, they troll and they're like, oh yeah, I have 100K Megapark, but no one legitly has 100K Megapark. So when I hit it, I was so hyped, yet disappointed that I didn't get my reaction, but I was still so unbelievably hyped that I hit it. And I was just finally, the Megapark grind is over, finally got 100K, and it just felt so amazing to finally be done with Megapark and hit the 100K finally after 10 years of grinding the game.
Now that you have the 100K, do you plan on upping it?
I do want to go back eventually and try, because there's a new run. It's the same run, but in the 100K I hit, I only did 3 backwards mans. And you can actually get 5 backwards mans in and get you can up the 100K, and you can maybe, with a good run, you can get 110,000 points. So yes, I do want to eventually grind for higher.
Alright, now the last question. Sneaky, Alex, and Ions all dominated Megapark and quit Skate 3. Now that you dominated Megapark, are you gonna quit Skate 3?
Well, when Skate 4 comes out, I'm definitely going to take a long, massive break from Skate 3, but I don't think I'll ever fully quit, I'll always come back to Skate eventually, but the only time that I'll fully stop playing Skate 3 for the rest, I'll just completely be done, is when the servers are shut down. Once the servers are shut down for Skate 3, I am officially done going for records, that is when I am fully retired.
Luke hitting 100k Megapark should have been the nail in the coffin, but the madman wants to go for more. So, if you ever want to catch him hit this world record again, go spam his comment section telling him to go livestream Megapark. Anyways, that has been the world record history of Skate 3's Megapark. Thanks for watching.